Do you get what I'm saying?
I think that was one of the things I enjoyed in my role, which was like discovering that there was this issue of, you know, being able to find diverse creatives, find Black illustrators. I was like, I know plenty. Like, they're not in publishing, but I know plenty. And at the time, like, you know, KO were more than happy for me to like do my thing. Bring illustrators in, bring people in who didn't consider a career in publishing, didn't and still don't. They came in, did the books,
their thing, and then they went off to their respective
to do the things that they enjoy doing. But in that, like, I was just like, I find it bizarre that we're having this conversation when we're in London, we're in a digital age. I just found it very bizarre, and I was like, well, you know, here they are. And
I did see that it was a two-sided problem.
Okay, tell me.
I'm saying two-sided, it was multiple sided, but the two sides that I recognized the most was that primarily the industry was at fault because it had spent so much time ostracizing people, making them feel like they don't belong, whether on purpose or inadvertently. It was making us feel like we didn't belong. So we chose other styles of illustration, other avenues of illustration that may not necessarily be considered suitable for book illustration, for children's book illustration. Right? That's one. And then two, because we've been ostracized from this space for so long, and because we don't really see ourselves belonging in it, we don't know how it works. Do you get what I'm saying? We can't connect the dots. We can't imagine ourselves in a space that we've been told we don't belong in. That's hard. I can do that. Because another secret that people don't know, and I talk about it now, but it's not widely known, I didn't see myself as a children's book illustrator. I never really thought that's what I was going to do. I was going to make a book, but I was going to make it on my terms, my style. If kids bought it, great. If adults bought it, great. But Nathan was the one that thought, okay, you can do this thing. So I love your work. And have a go. And then I'm like, oh, I can do this. If he hadn't said that, maybe if that BuzzFeed article went out and someone else approached me, I might have gone that route. Right. But I don't think it would be what it is now, you know?
I think another side of that like argument is just people not knowing that career path exists.
It's available, yeah.
That industry is available, and how to kind of get into it, in all honesty. It's almost like you're kind of cherry picked out. But you don't know how to get in.
We know now the layout, Cambridge, all those establishments that have illustration degrees, people are cherry-picked from those places. It's done in a manner that keeps the art form of children's book illustration quite highbrow. And my big quest, and it's an ongoing quest at every level, is to demystify this industry that we're in. Like, rip the freaking blinds off and show people what's happening behind the scenes. And I encourage everybody to do the same thing. That's like been my thing from day one, to try and just share. I overshare sometimes on Twitter. I talk about all the negatives bits as well as the positives. Because, like, you know, I got a new deal like about a month ago, and it was quite a high sum. It was a 6-figure sum. And everybody's thing initially was like, oh my God, 6 figures, my junior corner. I'm like, brother, let me break this down to you as to how I get paid this 6-figure sum and over how many years this contract is going to last for. I'll tell you when I'm seeing that last check, and it ain't going to be for a while. Do you get what I'm saying? So people understanding how that works, it gives them an understanding of the industry that we're in. Like, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Yeah. A lot of smoke and mirrors. How can you get a 6-figure sum and not be grinning from ear to ear? I'll tell you how. When it's chopped up and paid over a period of time that makes 6 figures a lot less than 6 figures. Do you get what I'm saying? So all those things are things that aren't shared. Pay. It's not talked about. How much money we get. And when it is talked about, you're met with like weird confrontation and projections from people. There's a conversation we had on Twitter about how illustrators doing picture books, 18 spreads and above, should be paid a minimum of 10 grand. Because that's what I got more than that for my first book. But I've seen that as a baseline sum. I personally, unless it's a personal project that I really like and there are other factors at play, I'm not going below that for a picture book of that magnitude, right? Because of the amount of work that's needed. Yeah. I put that out in the tweet. Pushback I got was nuts. There were people that had been illustrators for like a decade, and they were like, I'm only just now getting my first fee of that amount. I feel like you're misinforming people. I said, well, I didn't say this on Twitter because this would have caused a war.
Oh, of course.
My thing was, maybe you need to sack your agent, because how can you be in a decade that I've only been in for a year? You've been there for almost a decade,
You're not getting this.
And you ain't getting this, and I've got more than this already, and this is my baseline, and you're only just now getting what I call my baseline. That's nuts. And I know that smaller publishers can't necessarily pay out like that, right? But if you're making that known that you're a smaller publisher, this is what you can afford, and also maybe as a compensation for that, you can give more on the royalty, right? People have a choice to make.